got game, my aim is true, bells and straight winning it. From FP to RTS, I'm all into it. I seen your words online, now it's game time. We all know that you're just talk, now you're all mine. LOL, BF, Madden's all the same. A serial killer committed murder inside the game. Now you're beaten, yellow now, player no more. Back to the minors, game over, off F4. And welcome to another edition of Alt F4, where swagger lives. And we're always here to bring you the best gamers, the hardcore gamers, the professional gamers, the world of record holders. And that is exactly what we have here today. We're proud to have on our second show ever, David Vogt, who has not only one, but multiple world records in a lot of classic games. And of course, that's what Obsolete Gamer is all about. Dave, thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
So, what was the first world record that you achieved?
The first one was actually Geometry Wars Galaxies.
Oh, wow, okay. Man, see, I never even played that one. Like, how did you first come to start playing that game?
Well, I picked it up because it was, really highly recommended on 360. And then I saw they had this gigantic package thing for the Wii where there's like, I don't know how many, 40-something galaxies. So I got into it, and I really dug it. And then I came across King of Kong, the movie?
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I got to go for a score in like something like Robotron. And I was like, no, Geometry Wars is cooler. I'm going to do that.
So, I mean, so was it basically just seeing, King of Kong and just saying to yourself, I want a world record, or was it even before that? Or, like, how does... Because that's the thing I always wondered about. Like me, when I play in the game, I'm just thinking about fun. I would say that there's games that you want to hit that challenge, you want to get that special thing. But I admit, for me, I never actually thought of a world record. Like, how does that come about? Is it just seeing someone else?
Well, I guess the genesis of the idea for me came from when I was a kid. Actually, my mom was super hardcore, and she maxed out Xanac on the NES.
Oh, nice.
And she knew about Twin Galaxies back then, and she knew about like all the gaming mags had, you can take a picture of your score and send it in. But I never thought about it. I was just like, that's amazing. I'm not going to sit there and do that. And then I saw the movie, and I was like, you know what? That's a cool way to push yourself. I'm going to take a shot.
So is it a matter of just doing all the little things in order to hit like a certain number? Because I know there's different records, like you could go for score, longest played, things like that. So it's like, how does one choose what kind of record they're going after, or is it just a matter of, I like this game, why not go for a record in that?
Well, I think for everyone it's different. For me, it was just I liked this game, and then I started kind of dissecting other games that I liked. And then some that I was like, I don't really dig this game very much. I'm going to break it. So it's kind of a weird process. It changes.
So when you get to that point where you're saying to yourself that I'm going to be, like you get that first world record, after that, is it one of those things that you just have to have more? It's like getting a championship. You want to get more championships?
I guess so. You get the win. And of course, you're probably gonna have to defend it, but that whole victory thing fleets really quickly. So you're like, I got it. But the pursuit is so fun that you're like, I'm gonna do it again and again and again and again. And I've been doing it for 5 years now, going on 6 years.
Wow.
And it's no less fun than it was the first time.
And what is it like when, that happens? Like, you have that feeling that you're happy, but at the same time, I think that maybe gamers who have never tried to attempt something like that, like a world record or anything, is it more like when you see, like, your name mentioned or people talking about, like, how you've done it or things like that, and is that what gives you that motivation? Is it kind of like a mixture of publicity, or is it kind of like it's not really that noticed, it's just internal, it's all about how you feel about that game?
It's more internal for me. I know there are people out there who really, really dig the limelight, and it's nice. Oh, no kitty. Sorry, my cat's trying to love on the tripod.
Cat attack.
Yeah. But yeah, some people. I mean, it is nice. It's really cool, and people are like, "That's amazing. You did a great job." And you're like, "Wow, I didn't think anyone would really care." But it's more internal. It's just the whole you're overcoming yourself and your own limits, and it's addictive.
Yeah, I would figure that for the most part, you would have people that would see something like that, especially if it's a game that they've played or identify with, and then they'll say, "Oh, that's pretty cool." When talking with people who play competitive sports and competitive video games, sometimes you get the other side of that where you have a negative reaction because you did something, and then the person's like, "Oh, I want that, or I'm going to take that from you." And like you mentioned, seeing the King of Kong. I mean, you have that kind of aspect where you had these two people going head to head, even though with Billy, there's a whole ego trip thing going on. I mean, did you ever, I guess, experience even moderately just your standard internet, I guess, angst when you put a record up there, when someone put, when Twin Galaxies put your record up there?
Well, nothing too bad. I had a couple cases where someone is like, there's no way you did that. That's bull, and they're, kind of not the nicest guy in the world about it. Or another time they'd recognize it and you're going down, man. You're going down, and I'm no fun for that because I'm like, go ahead, I'll take it back. But they're like trying to get me riled up, and like I'm sodium free, man, no salt.
Nice. I think that's kind of like the best way to diffuse things, because it's like if you engage them almost any other way, they're gonna feed off of that. But you're like,
Yeah,
look, I got it. If you want to go get it, good luck to you.
yeah, go for it. Take it. If you get it, great. But I'm coming back.
So after you got the first one, and then you were going after others, as you said, you've been doing this for 5 years.
Yeah.
Did it continue to be something of I'm going after records and games that I like, or did you decide maybe I might change it up and actually just go after something specific?
Um, it was mostly just, I dig this game, so I want to do this, or there's competition in this game with friends, so I want to, see how I can hang. Last January, I actually took down speed runs on Doom. And that was a case of I've been playing Doom since day one. I was getting amped for Doom when it was previewed in a magazine. I was playing Wolfenstein. I'm like, oh my god, this is cool. And it took forever, and I finally took it down. Finally. And that was a case of, I want to take that. I want it.
Now, I know that's, a lot of times, unfortunately, anything that has to do with gaming, people want to downplay. It seems like it's okay that even if, you played a sport in your, like at school, and it wasn't, you never even got to the college level, but if you won something, you can celebrate that for a long time, and that's fine. But anytime you want to celebrate gaming, people still, a lot of them want to put that down. I was wondering that, I know that, I'm happy for even my small accomplishments that has nothing to do with world records or anything. Do you hold those accomplishments like in the same regard as maybe someone might hold like a sports accomplishment, or to you do you actually just put it on a different level, say, hey, this is gaming, so I'm just going to keep it over here?
Hmm. I don't know. I think it's pretty comparable. Depending on the achievement, I think it's pretty respectable. It takes a lot of ability.
Yeah,
Oh,
I agree. I think that for the most part, that's a lot of people don't realize that, especially some of these older games, because a lot of people, especially nowadays, they'll talk about an old game and they might just look at a YouTube video or something and say, oh, that looks stupid. But they don't understand that, like, you start playing some of those older games, like the Mega Man, original Mega Man, Ninja Gaiden, Battletoads. I mean, those games were not easy. So not only was it hard to just beat, but to get any type of records in it is insane, and it does take a skill.
yeah, it's not easy in the slightest.
Now, as far as gaming itself, I mean, how would you say that from the very beginning, then you always just like gaming, like you grew up in gaming? Like for me, I grew up starting with like the Texas Instrument. I was playing Metal Munchman on that, and it just went from there, Atari 2600 and everything. What about your history?
Same way, man. Started with Atari 2600 and ColecoVision. And
Oh,
my
nice.
parents were playing games before I was even born. Like my mom told me about like having console arguments with her neighbor because they had an Odyssey, and she's like, Odyssey is whack, and they're like, no, man. So it's been going on, and I just kind of grew into it.
See, that's pretty cool because my mom was super old school, so she didn't like all she knew was like, why does this thing cost so much money, and why do I have to continue to buy you things for it, and why are you breaking the TV by hooking it up to it? I mean, I guess this this question is kind of like would take on if you have other experience to compare it to, I guess maybe friends or something. What would you say is a difference between growing up in a household where you had members that were into gaming as opposed to maybe friends who their parents didn't play games, didn't even know anything about gaming?
I think I was pretty blessed. My kids
Definitely.
too, the same way, and it's one of those things you got to balance it too with every other parts of your life. Like you know, had to be good in school, I had to behave, I had to, do my chores and all that. So there's still that same, it's a privilege, but it's definitely a lot easier on you if you're into games and your parents are as well, because you're going to get that brand new Super Nintendo when it comes out because they're going to get it anyway. You don't have to ask or, beg and plead. Well, I did that with Genesis. But,
Could you imagine if it got to the point where, like, during the whole console wars, Nintendo versus Sega, like, your mom was like, yeah, I'm a Nintendo person, and Sega is not allowed in this house. And you're like, oh, my God, I really want to play the Genesis.
Oh, man. Yeah, I got lucky because she wasn't interested. Like, I remember looking over it, and she's like, no, we're going to wait for the Super Nintendo. And, we did. And I was like, yeah, you're right. It's whatever. It's where it's at. And then I just really got into what was coming down the pike for the Genesis, and I was like, how am I going to get her into it? RPGs. I'm like, look at Shining Force and look at Phantasy Star. She's like, okay, sold.
Nice.
It took.
No, go ahead.
Oh, it took a little bit of coercing, but it wasn't too hard.
I would assume that, like, especially in those moments, I remember playing, like, Mario Brothers, the original, or Zelda or something, and it's like, at least, those games you could pause, but, I could imagine that at least in certain conditions, of course, like you said, there's still the regular responsibilities you have, but it must be in certain conditions where you're able to say, hey, Bob, I'm almost done with this level, can I get another 10 minutes? And then she kind of gets it, and that's got to be an awesome moment.
That was cool. Yeah, that happened a lot. Or like, I'm nowhere near a save point. I've got to finish this cave, and how about you let me go ahead and just I'll as soon as I can. I'll have to go back to town and get some more potions, and I come back and finish it. Then I can save, and I don't have to worry about it when I come back to play. And she'll be like, okay, I get it. But then on the adverse, she's a gamer too, so you're like, Mom, can I play? No.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm playing.
That's a good point, because if you think about it, it's like not only will you come home and you're like all ready to play this game, and then you see your mom playing on a console,
like,
and she's gonna be beat it, like you know her skills, so you see her and she's like in the middle of the game, you're like, oh God, it's gonna be like 2 hours before she's done.
Right. That's what it's like now, actually, with my wife. Is every time a new Zelda game, especially, comes out, she's like, it's mine, and that's it. Like, there's no getting through to her for like days. It's like I'm gonna play PC or hook up the Sega over there or something, because I'm not touching anything on the big TV.
But see, that's gotta be great though. I mean, I think that it's important to have at least an aspect that if you know that you do it a lot, and it doesn't have to be anything obsessive. But if you just do something that you enjoy a lot, and then you find people, family members, friends, loved ones that into it too, even if they're not exactly the same, it must make life just easier, because you know that gaming is going to be a part of your life, after a while. It's not something you're just going to quit and say, you know what, I'm X age and I'm going to quit. You say, I like gaming, I'm going to continue playing it, and having other people to share that with must be nice.
Absolutely. It's a way to interact and communicate. It's just another avenue.
So we always ask people what their favorite classic game is. And I know that with all the experience that you've had, that is probably a harder question. But I would say, maybe if not one, um, overall, maybe would you say would be some of your favorite classic games, and like if you could tell us a little bit about why you liked it and what was your experience with them.
Um, well, I guess the big one I would have to go with is the original Zelda.
Nice.
It's just that feeling, the first time you play it and every time you play it, that open-ended sense of wonder, but it just everything about it, just the gameplay is tight. The You never lose that sense, and it's still fun. Like I can play it right now and enjoy it.
Definitely.
So that's the big one. A little bit less classic would be Doom. That's another one. I just got done playing through it like a couple of weeks ago. It revolutionized the genre. It still hasn't been touched in some ways. Some have come close, but it's just super rock solid.
It did have that feeling that just hasn't really been matched, even by later Dooms. I mean, Doom 2
Right.
was great as well, but it was just something about, like, even Quake. Like, I thought about it, and I'm like, I loved playing like Quake and Quake 2 multiplayer. The single
Hmm.
player was like, but like you said, like Doom, the original, I could play not only the original Doom, but almost any custom player made or official map that came out for it.
Yeah, they just they got the they just really nailed game design. I think like they just fine tuned the gameplay so well that it's something lost. Not
Yeah.
to knock anything else, but
What would you say? I mean, like, do you have, I guess, your opinion of what may have been lost in some of the newer games today? I mean, obviously, with the rise of indie games and a lot of, there were a lot of great games that have come out, but there's still overall, there seems to be a lot of games that are just really one play, and you may enjoy it once or maybe even twice. And I take multiplayer out of the conversation just because I think that puts a dynamic on it that's just completely different, and it's not really fair to the type that you got with classic games. I mean, what would you say to you is one of the reasons why a lot of these newer games don't have that replayability that classics did?
well, I think that's a really hard thing to put your finger on. But well, as you know, I'm a independent designer too,
Mhm.
and that's something I really take a long look at. And it's like I said, it's really hard to put your finger on it. One aspect I would say is it feels like even stuff that's trying to emulate the style and feel of the classics, they're kind of standing on the shoulders of giants in a sense that they're doing what was done, and it wasn't. That's a good question, man.
Yeah. Oh, and I admit it's not something that I could definitely say that I have an answer for either, because there's some games that I play like on Xbox or even PlayStation, and it's like I played it and I'm not really interested in playing it again. But it's not like if you asked me if it was a bad game, I'd say yes. I'd say no,
Yeah.
it was a good game. But then there's just classic games. Like I could play Mega Man 2 at any time. I could play the Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade version, anytime. So it's like it's hard to say exactly why. I mean, maybe it's almost as if they just feel that way to make it that way because it's like they want you to move on and buy the next game. But yes, that's the next thing. Actually, it's a good segue. I actually, was able to hear about the bounty, actually, several months ago. Can you actually, for people that may not know, tell us about your uh, life as far as developing in games, and also about the Indigo campaign for the bounty?
Well, as for just kind of like a quick summary, I liked the idea of making games when I was a kid, but I didn't think it was possible. It was like I can't do that. And I got into this and got into that, and life moved on. And then I guess it was 8 years ago. I had to leave the band I was in. It's like, well, what now? I got to create. I'm going to go for games because it's more accessible now. You don't have to be. It's a lot easier and a lot cheaper now. You have tools and middleware and everything where you're not hard coding every single line. So I tried a couple RPGs, got them started to shoot them up, which is still waiting to be finished. But then it just led to the bounty was an idea I had 3 years ago, going on 4 years now, and it was in the middle of going for a bunch of high score records, and I also happened to start playing Rogue.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, classic RPG, one-shot kill kind of game. You have one shot, you die, it's over, start over. And I thought it'd be really cool to marry the two ideas, and tried really hard to find if anyone had ever done it before, and no one had. And the idea had to get shelved because of life, and I came back to it earlier this year. So that was in August. The computer that had all the actual data, the hard drive got corrupted, but I'm a real stickler for notes. So I've actually written every last line of everything and every map. So I rebuilt it from scratch, like what I had. And I just continue from there. I'm trying to get funding for equipment and pay for art, pay for the music and everything. Because I can write the music, but I can't, do the tech side of that so well, especially not with the equipment I have. I'm using our family PC. So yeah, it's been several months now, and it's coming along really well. It's broken into episodes in a way. Like you go from one chapter to the next, and you can also select them on free play. I've got episode 1 completely finished. Episode 2 is a good ways done. 3 is planned out.
And how did you decide to go with Indiegogo over something like regular Kickstarter?
Well, the flexible funding was what did it for me, because I tried to. I was going to try to get a film made about fighting games and everything, and I looked into Kickstarter, and it's pretty much like you have to have some really good connections with Kickstarter, or it's all or nothing, one shot. But that idea kind of went by the wayside, and so I went with Indiegogo, and that's actually shut down that campaign. I'm actually going through GoFundMe right now.
Oh, okay.
I can actually give you a link and superimpose it here or something, or we can, however.
Oh, definitely. We can add it to the article so that people can go and check that out, and they also can go see the Facebook page too, which is facebook.com/the bounty game. Correct?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So as far as gaming world wide, originally, how did you? So is that basically I guess you would say the vessel to do these games through?
It's kind of one aspect for gaming worldwide. It's just something else to. They kind of go side by side, parallel, and they're going to help each other out. Gaming worldwide is primarily about just promoting information and generosity, and we've done charity stuff. I did we did Extra Life last year.
Oh, okay.
And food drives, you name it. So it's kind of parallel, like Gamer Worldwide is hosting the game, at least promoting it, and it'll be used for charitable stuff as well.
Very cool. So when I first was talking to Grace, and then she introduced me to you, she showed me the article on the video game scoreboard about Super Castlevania 4 for the Super Nintendo. So that was the latest achievement that I saw before going back and looking at your other world records. Can you tell us a little bit about that one that was put up there on the website?
Yeah, that's kind of my game. I got the world record some time ago, years ago. That was the first like huge one that I got, and then I lost the record to Mr. PJ DeCesare, an incredible gamer. He's on SDA all the time. But then these contests came up, and I'm like, well, I'm going to revisit Castlevania 4. But I didn't have it yet to do the marathon. So I was like, well, let's do a single loop score. So I dissected the game from that angle and figured out a lot of point pressing that is just pretty insane, takes a lot of patience. But
For people that don't know, can you tell them about the single loop score?
Well, what that is the game loops when you complete the game, right? Well, with the single loop, your game ends when you defeat Dracula. You're looking at about 190K through a straight playthrough. So to increase that, I had to find spots where I can milk the time just long enough to not die. So you have to find places where you can trick respawns and not die. It's not the easiest game in the world. It's not too hard, but you gotta just find the right places to point press and play through clean enough. It's a short run that you really have to maximize.
Yeah, that was just one of those games. I mean, I love playing that. I love the music. That's like always up on my playlist, and it's like I put that one and Symphony of the Night, next to each other because, I mean, there were other great Dracula games, no doubt, but for me, of course, first it was Super Castlevania 4, and then after that it was Symphony of the Night, and like those are up there in my top games of all time.
Yeah, me too, man.
Now, as far as just for now, like if you just load up something, classic or modern, what are you playing today when you have time?
Right now, my wife and I, Terry, are playing through the new Donkey Kong Country, Tropical Freeze.
Nice.
So hard. It's good. It's great. It's brutal. Besides that, I'm actually playing Gunstar Heroes again.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, Retroids is having a contest. They have one every month, and it's a different theme. And this month it's Run and Gun. So, trying to
cool.
a little bit of that.
So you're also a parent, and we had a segment of articles a while back about gaming parents, and not being a parent myself, I wanted to talk to people who were to find out the differences as far as being a gamer and what does that change for you. I mean, obviously, having that responsibility is going to change your life, period. But at the same time, you're still going to go and you're going to do your hobbies and you're going to have the fun. And then, of course, your kids are going to see the game and want to get into it too. So, I mean, can you give us a little experience about, being a gamer parent from, before the children were born until after?
Well, before there's a whole lot more time. You could stay up as late as you wanted to. Your responsibilities are pretty much, in line before you have kids. And once you have kids, it's pretty much you're responsible all the time. So it's, it cuts into the time a lot. You have to manage that better. I had to stop playing Street Fighter with a stick because the kids like to climb on it. Then it's just, as they, you're taking care of them as a baby. Oh, quick pointer on that one. If you have a baby, right, you can find a nice one-handed game on the Wii, like your Fire Emblem, and you can actually kind of one-hand the remote and feed them at the same time. You learn tricks like that. You learn little tricks like that. You get by. You got to get by somehow. But, they get older, and they get into the games, too, and you play with or you give up your time for them to... It's just a way for the family to get together, too, man. It's just more like... It's kind of like coming full circle from when I was a kid. Now I'm the... pass along the torch.
That's very cool. I was well, I'm still am great friends with a family that all played EverQuest, and it was funny because that game was one of those games where you could easily play for 12 hours straight, and it was actually four of them that was playing. So you'd go over, they'd have all the computers in one big room, and they're
Oh,
all like playing, and sometimes they're at different levels, but sometimes they would get close enough where they'd all group, and it's like
right
I
on.
couldn't imagine. Like I think of like when I played EverQuest, all the expletives I was throwing out while I was playing, and
Right.
just calling this person a noob. I couldn't imagine playing with parents or something, or like you're playing with your wife or something, and it's like if the husband is not that good or the wife's not that good, you're yelling at them, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, that person is right here and lives with me, so I gotta be careful.
Yeah, that'd be
But that's,
cool.
I mean, that's just awesome to to have that, and then, but like you said, now it's not only do you have to be vigilant as far as what they're playing and how much, but it's also more time taken away from all the other projects that you're going to be doing and your gameplay.
Yeah.
So as far as, I mean, with all the thing that's going on, just life in general, being a parent and working on everything else, do you have like another game world record or challenge that you're looking to go after specifically, or is it more like when it comes, I'll know it and then I'll make that move?
Yeah, it's pretty much just like something will come along that I'll want to really take down. The only thing that's planned exactly is, well, like I said last year, we took part in Extra Life for Children's Hospital. Uh, I did 50 hours of Smash, longest fighting game record. So I'm gonna beat that one this year. So I guess I'm gonna shoot for like 75 hours,
Oh man, nice.
something like that. I'm gonna do my best, but I've gotta up the ante. But that's a different kind of record too. I mean, that's not really a score. That's more just endurance.
Right. And
But
I've seen the challenge in that. I was watching on Deep Lounge Live. I was watching people going for marathon record in Jaws for
yeah,
NES, and I was like, wow, just seeing that, and then hearing about how you have to stay there, and then you take these breaks, and you're only able to take these breaks after you get enough lives so that you can actually die for a while you rest for maybe 10, 15 minutes, use the restroom. I admit, in my most long gameplay sessions, I could never do that. It's something that I admit is just awesome to see someone able to do that, and I think it's really cool. And also, I think it's cool just having world records. In total, what do you have? 13? Is that correct?
uh, I'm not sure now. I haven't because I have them through Twin Galaxies, um, Record Setter. Um, we have to compare some of them because against different entities because you don't really know sometimes. So at this point, I don't know. There's a handful.
Still, that's an awesome accomplishment, and that's why we have this show Alt F4, so that we can bring people on who are serious about gaming and are really good at it. And that's why we want to have like different people, because a lot of times people think of sometimes even world record holders. A lot of people do think immediately of King of Kong, and they think that everyone may be that. And I'm like, no, Billy is that's a guy. He's in his own world. And the same thing with some of the esports players and professional gamers and champions. Sometimes you have one aspect where you think it's going to be like the cocky gamer, but you have a little bit of that, and then you have the other side as well. So
Yeah.
it's good to see all that. But we're definitely going to put together a package including information on the bounty where you guys can see the campaign for it. So I hope you guys will go and check that out. And also there'll be information so you can see on all the accomplishments that Dave has had. But I just wanted to say, thank you for coming on and talking with us. It was great having you.
Hey, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate this.
All
Uh,
right, guys. So we're gonna have this up on our YouTube page and also on ObsoleteGamer.com, and we'll be also making an article to go along with it so that you can see all the different things and links in what we were talking about today. So we'll be back very soon for another episode of Alt F4. And in the meantime, just remember that if you don't have those skills and you're not hardcore, just hit those two buttons, Alt F4. We'll see you guys next time.
Game on.